I've got a team of about 10 agents, and we use a Cromford report on a daily basis. So I'll be totally transparent with you. This is way more than I thought was going to be happening today. I do teach classes here, but usually different classes. So this is going to be a learning process for all of us, right? Who here knows what the Cromford report is and can explain it? Anybody want to explain it? Raise your hand. Want to explain it?
It's just stats across the valley that they've kept over the years that tell us where the market's at, where they project it to go, and
Sure.
history.
Yeah, so it's Michael Orr, who's he's a mathematician, right? And he was a big-time real estate investor back in the 80s. And at the time, he saw a need for more data because there just wasn't enough data on what's going on with the market, the trends, everything else. So it's kind of a guessing game. So he developed the Cromford report, which is a big, huge breakdown of statistical analysis of Maricopa County and Pinal County. And it uses all the data, not just the MLS. So he's pulling from the assessor's office and everything else. And they compile all the stats together and try to make sense out of it, right? So normally Tina or Michael kind of teach this class or give the overview of the market, like a snapshot of it. We're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to kind of look at it like, how can you as an agent use this to your advantage? You do have to pay for it, right? So it's not free. So if you want a subscription to the Cromford report, I think it's $3.99 a year, $99 a quarter, something like that. It can be a hugely beneficial tool. But, you know, it's also really complex. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in there. Does anybody use it today on a regular basis? How are you using it?
I pay on a regular basis.
Okay.
I use
What?
I said I pay on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I use it minimally. I was actually not going to renew it this year.
Okay.
I was hoping for a class like what you're doing right now.
Okay, cool.
That will probably keep me from not renewing. I mean, from renewing, like, it'll keep me from not
renew. I get it, totally. So I told Kelly that we kind of developed the class. This is going to be the trial to see what kind of approach we take on this, and then we'll evolve into what it's going to be every month. So we're going to do a little snapshot of what's going on in the market. But I mean, if you guys are selling houses, you know what's going on in the market. Anybody got an idea? There's no inventory. There's no houses to sell, right? So that's our single biggest thing. I talked to Tina from the Cromford report for a while yesterday and just got some tips and pointers from her. She would normally come up here and go through all the numbers and break it down. I'll show them to you, kind of go through them. But, you know, today, anybody have an idea of how many active listings we have sitting in the valley? Not UCB, not pending, not UCB, and not pending.
12,000.
Yeah, if I have this correct, let's take a quick peek. I'm going to have to go through a whole bunch of stuff. But,
Or not pending.
yeah, 12,344 active listings. So comparatively, what do you think that means? If you go back a year, how many active listings were at? 14,000, I'm sorry, that's last quarter. Go back a year, we're at 18,100. So it's gone, we're 66% of what we were at a year ago, right? Shoot.
And that doesn't include just Maricopa County and
it's all around.
And now it's different parts of the states or different parts of the state. Like,
This is Maricopa County and Pinal.
Oh, it is.
That's it.
She pulls it out for that.
Yeah. Just strictly Maricopa County and Pinal. Yeah. So there's other parts of the state. You got a few more. But here's a great way to use this, especially with sellers and with buyers, both sides. We're going to put it to real life. So when you're meeting with your buyers, what does this mean to them and to you? What it means is if you see a house that you like, you better buy it. And you can present it that way. And I do it every day when we're talking to buyers. You've got a 10-day inspection period. Well, use it, right? Because the house is going to be gone. You know, if it's a decent house, it's a decent price. The house is just not going to be there next week. And based on the trends that we have, nothing's going to replace it. So it used to be you could say, hey, there'll be another house that comes along, a better house, it'll be great, but it's just not. I mean, right now, for whatever reason, we just don't have that inventory coming into the market. UCB listings 3,000, so total 1,530.78 is what we got available. Our sales per month, even though we have no inventory, right? So last year at this time we had 18,000 active listings, not counting UCB, and we actually sold less houses, so 6168 sales per month. So we sold more houses in the last running 30 days than we did last year at this time period. So what is that going to do? What's that?
Makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's eating up inventory. It's eating up inventory and it's raising prices. So that's exactly what's going to happen. From the seller standpoint, that's good information, right? That just means, hey, my house is gonna sell and it's gonna be worth, the top of the market comparatively. So in using these tools, and we'll go through a little bit of the Cromford report as well, and using the tools from listing presentations or buyer presentations, you just give them hard numbers and real data. Like, it's like, look, if you're looking to buy a house right now, you gotta pick the house and you gotta buy it, and it's a great indicator. Shoot.
Do the active listings include Open Door and all these other like?
Yeah, so all the iBuyers are in there.
Yeah.
Great question, because I asked her last night, because I just want to be sure, because they haven't incorporated it as a separate a data set yet. They're going to.
Yeah, they're having
this year.
trouble like incorporating all of the sales and it's increasing, so that's kind
So
of
she's going with the big three, and Open Door, OfferPad, and Zillow at 3.5% of the market.
So do they give an indication why there would be, if the prices keep going up, but there's less inventory, less active listings, does Cromford say why there's less active listings?
No, so it's an anomaly, right? So according to him, since he's been doing it from '87, he's never seen this type of market that we have right now today. Just doesn't know why.
I think, and I've experienced this, a lot of the reasons why people aren't buying or selling is because they're scared. It's a political thing. It's a total political thing. I just got an email from a Fix and Flipper today, and he goes, yeah, great property, but I'm not sure if we want to buy something right now because I'm not sure if I'll be able to let it go, sell it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, seriously, don't start this.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, but again, every election year we go through the same kind of thing. Presidential election year for sure. And I'm not into politics, so I'm not going to say, but Trump's a little crazy, so I'm sure that scares people.
He didn't just bomb and then have the election.
Yeah.
Today's a little different.
Absolutely, yeah. But the twist on that is they are selling. You know what I mean? So even though we have low inventory, the houses are still moving. Yeah. And obviously it's because, as VIP could tell us, right, Liz, the rates are killer. Yeah. So you got killer rates, the houses are still moving, the inventory is just really tight. It's not to that point yet where it's a multiple offer situation. Sometimes a little bit, but it's not the whole market as a whole is not operating like that right now.
We've had our best December we've ever had as a company.
Yeah, so totally. It's crazy.
Normal seasonality didn't really apply.
Ran right through it. Yeah. December was one of my best months ever. It was great. I'll take it. Question?
We have a ton of people moving into the valley from California and New York, and that's why we're having this issue. And the builders have been stalling, and now they're going to start building like crazy. So it should start to, I think, probably level out. Once the builders, then that inventory hits the market. But
with hopefully, right? So let's see if this is the right one.
Right.
There's just so much stuff on there. That's a good question. Hopefully it levels out. The builders pick it up. We got new people moving in. Theoretically, though, the baby boomers, as they downsize, there's not enough millennials to fill the houses. Who knows, right? I mean, that's kind of like a toss-up in there. We'll see how it plays out. Something that was kind of crazy to me, and again, we're going to jump all over the place, so if you guys have specific questions, shoot them out there. But if you're out actively selling, I mean, look at these zip codes. 85208. There's 19 houses for sale. There's 19 active houses, right? So an average is 100 to 120 in that zip code. It's crazy. Glendale 85306, Chandler 85224. I mean, those numbers are insane, right? And that's the hard part of that is take that and share that with your buyers and with your sellers. I mean, if you got a seller sitting on the fence, it's in 85208. Write your check. What number do you want? It's as simple as that. So that's where you can use this data and pull it out and share with your buyers and sellers to hopefully, one, educate them and two, motivate them to make a move on what's going on. If you are looking for some properties, some areas that have plenty of inventory, head out to Wickenburg. So Wickenburg's loaded. It's got plenty of inventory compared to Phoenix 85034, PV's got a little bit of inventory, 262 a little bit, 85377 a little bit. But keep in mind, so they're not over inventory. It's not a super high level. That's kind of it's really even a low level comparatively if you go back 10 years. So it's not like they're oversaturated with listings. So any questions on that whole thing going on there? Any thoughts? I mean, is this what you guys are seeing? Is that what you're experiencing? Yeah. So what do you think, and again, looking at this, and we'll flip over to it in a minute, if we look strictly at resales, the median sale price at $285, up from $256, that's 11% in a year. right? That's kind of a scary number because that's going back to 2005, 2004. But the difference being is the inventory level. I mean, there was way more inventory then than there is now. And so it's not an overinflated price necessarily, according to Cromford. That's not me, but it's a market-driven price, right? So your first-time home buyers, I mean, I met with some first-time home buyers yesterday. They qualify for like $270, but they need seller concessions. Yeah, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? It's a tough one, and you just have to educate them and share that with them up front so that they understand where we're headed with that whole thing. Okay. One thing to touch on a little bit, so developers are really, what are your flip guys looking for? What are you guys, anybody out here working investors, flippers, wholesalers? What are those guys looking for?
Just distressed properties with about a 70%.
Yeah, what price point? Under three.
Yeah.
Under three all day. Yeah, so those guys are looking under three all day. And they're kit, right? We did this yesterday. So these guys are going after it. I mean, if you got a house that's sitting at 260, 265, you're actively competing with flippers where in the past they wouldn't touch that because it's a market value house. Well, now they can sit on that thing for a month or two and get their money out of it, So it's going to be even a little more competitive in that environment at that price point. I think the FHA levels are what, 338, something like that? 334, 338? Yeah, so anything in that FHA market level, from all the stats and everything else, it's crazy. It goes super fast. Wickenburg, Santan Valley, go way out. You can get properties, you can get new houses out there for that price point. So, I mean, there's some stuff out there. You're going to end up driving a bit. Let's see if we got. So this is a summary market conditions report. So we covered a lot of this already. This is a forecast, right, of active listing. So he's actually forecasting that we're going to dip below 10,000 in active listings, which again, another crazy number to keep an eye on. The reason I brought this report up is that obviously you can control it, dwelling type, minimum price, maximum price, UCB. And that 9,000 is single family residential. I count condos and townhomes. But this is great to take on in listing appointments because you can also break it down by area. So this is kind of where we get into how do you use Cromford to sell houses and to educate your buyers and sellers. Well, this report right here is fantastic. So you can show them what's going on in the market, your specific market, the whole valley, single family residential. You can go into condos. And again, we don't have to nail the numbers because it is what it is. But here's what's really interesting, right? So look at that. Inventory high, comparatively, sales lower, sales high, inventory low. So even though we don't have much inventory, we're just turning it. So what would you think is the average? What's our inventory level right now? How much inventory do we have in the valley? If we stop listing houses today, when would we run out of houses?
1.9.
What's that?
Is it 1.9?
Yeah, you put the condos and townhomes in, it's like 2.3 months, right? Single family residential, it's a little bit under 1.7. So, again, it's just to
Is that across
emphasize.
every price point? Sorry.
That's top to bottom.
Yeah.
That's top to bottom. If you take everything over $3 million and throw it out, it's probably going to skew it even a little bit more. Yeah, it's a number, crazy number.
And basically, because of the higher for the condos and townhomes, for the average sum of the markets, because of the HOAs, a lot of people just don't want to pay much for an HOA, and that's usually what's driving days on the market up for the condos.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I mean, the condos are keeping pace.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not growing quite as fast in price, but they're keeping pace. They're not going backwards, right? So it's definitely they're moving forward. 6-month average list price and sales price per square foot, going all the way back to 2014. 2014, our average sales price per square foot is $127, right? So here we are 6 years later, we're at $191.43. So our market's rocking. I mean, it's been pretty rock solid for 6-7 years. Not bad at all. Again, I'm not an analyst, so I can't tell you, but based on the indicators, the inventory level, the people moving to the valley, all that kind of good stuff, the unemployment, everything else, there's no indication it's changing. There's no indication it's going away. I mean, there's some people that's scared politically. Absolutely, without a doubt. But with interest rates where they're at, the programs that are out there, the inventory that we have, we're selling as many houses as we have for a long, long time. So that's a lot of what this report gets you and what it shows you. We'll go over to. I think we did this one already. Okay, we'll go into a little bit of the Tina and Michael part of it. So here's your square footage price, obviously increases. The crazy one is Carefree. What's going on in Carefree, right? The only place in the whole valley that's going backwards. What are you guys doing up there? It's pretty easy to pick, right? PV, Scottsdale, Carefree, Fountain Hills, Rio Verde making a move, which is actually Scottsdale, right? So I put it in there, but whatever. Cave Creek, Desert Hills, Wickenburg. Again, this is just to give you an idea of where you can still go and get a decent deal on a house, right? So, Maricopa, super cheap, right? Nobody's left under $100 a square foot. Is there? I don't think so. Oh, Coolidge. Okay. I don't even know where Coolidge is, but where is Coolidge?
It's by Florence. It's like south of Santa.
Oh, okay. Any Coolidge agents in here? I didn't mean to insult you. Yes.
I've been sitting in Coolidge.
Rock on? Yeah, why not, right? Yeah.
It's a little crazy, but there's
This house is available?
yeah.
The price point's there, right?
Price point's still good.
Yeah.
It's not like they're not going to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, hopefully they should continue to kill it.
It's a second lunch.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just showing the increases. So that's a great point. So Coolidge is up 12.6%, right? So you get down to that level. According to Michael Orr and to Tina, who is, I don't know if you guys have ever had a class from Tina or Michael. They usually give all the numbers out. They do a much better job than I do, but in talking to her last night, any guesses on what the hottest area in the valley is right now to sell a house at?
Chandler?
Tempe.
Yeah, the West Valley.
Keep going. South Phoenix. South Phoenix.
Oh,
On fire. On fire. Yeah, no, just South Phoenix.
Okay.
So the 10, that between the 10 and the 10 and in there, and I think that's 85031, 85032.
And Levine?
Well, heading that way, yeah, but they're actually talking about South Phoenix. Levine's hot a little bit.
By South
right?
Mountain?
Not going down to the Ahwatukee yet, but on South Mountain. North and east of South Mountain.
South Mountain up I-10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, going up to the 10. So if you're looking for sellers or buyers, I mean, that place is on fire. I mean, statistically, she's telling me last night that it's selling days on market is about 18 days on market average for those two zip codes right there. So, I mean, 18 days is just a realtor that's kind of lazy. They probably sold in 3 days and didn't even change the status, right? I mean, so how quick is that thing selling? It's just a crazy, crazy area. Oh, what's the slowest area? You guys already know this, but Carefree. Carefree's dying for some reason. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to cover this one. Okay, we're going to give you, so this is basically, and if you register, did we send that registration thing out? I think it's going around, right? If you register, we'll email this to you. And this is actually the Jumpstart Guide from Cromford, which is kind of going to tell you exactly how you can use it, where to take the staff shots from, where to put them, where to share them, how you can share them, all that kind of stuff. So, it'll show you your competition stats, the different charts to use, the criteria to select. Again, it's a crazy amount of data. But if you want to be able to talk to your clients super intelligently, you can manipulate all of this to show them exactly what's going on in their price point, their areas, and everything else. So to kind of recap the numbers, and then we'll go into questions or anything else you guys have. Inventory really, really super low. Buyer interest still high. Days on market, averaging in the valley, I think 61 is what it was, 59, 61, right in that ballpark across the whole sphere. South Phoenix, super, super hot. Carefree, a little bit slower. Even Scottsdale is bumping on under 60 days on market average, which for Scottsdale is crazy. Right. I mean, that's just insane. It's usually, if you go back 3, 4, 5 years, it's 130, 140, 150 days on market average in Scottsdale. So even Scottsdale is on fire from that point of view. Doesn't seem to be any indicators that it's going to change. You've talked to a lot of buyers or sellers, the market's about to blow up, we're going to have a huge correction, everything else. I can't control that, but there's nothing that says we're going to. We still got jobs, we still got people moving to the valley, we still got low inventory, low interest rates, and buyer interest, so it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. So questions. Open up anything you want to specifically know about the Cromford report, about the data, any of that kind of cool stuff? That's a quiet grade.
I have a question.
Shoot.
So I noticed on one of the charts, it said, ARMLS data, and not any of the public records or the iBuyer data.
Let's find.
I think it was. Well, I guess the question specifically is: does the MLS provide similar charts and graphs for just MLS data? And the reason I ask is because I come from another market where we did have similar charts and graphs for the MLS data. But is the advantage of the Cromford report that they're adding in this additional information, or do we just not have it as part of the MLS subscription?
Well, so I'll probably open that up for other answers as well. My personal experience, you can maybe use RPR a little bit to manipulate the graphs and find what you want to. The MLS, the reports that I get on the MLS are not strong enough for me to use specifically. So that's why I go to the Cromford report, because it kind of pulls it all together. But I think the short answer is no, our MLS isn't really that strong in providing that data in a way that you can comprehend it and share it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why it definitely works in your favor.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't statistical sellers, right? I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of agents that don't get into the numbers. I mean, and that's totally fine. But if you are, and you really want to educate people, and it comes in so handy when they're really on the fence, right? So I mean, if you got a buyer that's on the fence right now, well, this should push them right over. It's like, come on, if you literally want to buy a house, I'm not pushing you to buy a house, but if you literally want to buy a house, you need to buy a house, right now, because that house isn't going to be there. And who knows if it's going to be there in a year. And then the same on the flip side, if you're a seller and you're selling for the right reason, right? Right now is the top of the top. I mean, we're back to where we were, right there, real close. A lot of places we're over, some a little bit under. But compared to pre-bubble, we're right there. But we got there the right way, right? So it's grown over the last 10 years versus 3-year run. So it's actually, we've seen the growth continuously grow, supported by buyers, supported by interest rates, supported by people moving to the valley, supported by jobs. So it's not a bubble situation. It's a situation where we got there by normal economic growth. And again, all this stuff I'm telling you guys is from the Cromford report, not from me. So I'm kind of regurgitating a lot of it. But that's what my job is. Sir?
That's actually a question. Can they break down in the sales data what is investors buying houses versus someone buying that for primary residence?
So in 2020, they're going to have that ability, right? Right now, they can break it out by cash. They can break it out by financing. They can't necessarily break it out by iBuyers or investors directly. And that's probably something we could add to the next class to show how to break the data out like that a little more in depth. But you can get kind of close, but you can't nail it, And another problem with that data as a whole, which you're trying to figure out, and I'm not sure if you guys know how this works yet, but if you're offer pad and open door, right, you make an offer at $260,000 on a house, and you sell the house for $260,000. And what do you record with the county at? Any ideas? You recorded $260,000. Right? So it's overinflating the value of the price of the homes because it's not really a $260,000 offer. So Open Door gives you an offer pad offer of $260,000. Well, there's a built-in fee of 7.5% if it's Open Door, let's say, and there's going to be another adjustment fee of 8 to 9% on the repairs and the upgrades, right? But that's built into their offers. So that's what they're buying the house at. So in a way, they're overinflating the value of the property theoretically. So this is an issue that's coming up that you're going to see more and more of because it's actually becoming an issue. So according to Tina at the Cromford report, it's now something where the assessor's office, which who knows because of our assessor, what's going on with that whole thing. But it's actually a red flag now because it's overvaluing properties in some areas because it's not the real deal. It's an overinflated price. Because the repairs aren't necessarily being done, they're not being done at that cost. It's not an apples to apples comparison. So they're definitely going to separate out that market and have it in a different representation. So it's but to answer your question today, no. In the future, yes. Yeah. Sir,
one of the ways they do that is they pull all the tax data also. So
right.
While our MLS does have some statistics, they don't slice and dice it as much.
Yeah.
But Cromford attempts to match the tax data, which is how they're going to attempt to distill the investor. Non-tax, non-property mailing address information.
And they get the FSBOs out of it too, and all that kind of stuff, and family transactions, all that. So, they're pulling all the data, not just MLS, for sure. Anybody else? let's keep it rolling. It's only like 30 minutes. I think I had to do an hour. I'm not going to sing and dance.
I have a question.
What's up, Jay?
Oh, like that's on everybody's mind here. How do we look intelligent by copying and pasting? Like, for instance, if we got the Cromford report, what would you do to your social media?
So personally, I'll share it. I shared, individual, and this is just a personal thing, right? So for me, I'm going to share individual reports on a weekly basis for different areas, and you know what? I just do it to look intelligent, I guess. I don't know, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
But for me, the bigger use and benefit out of it is when I'm face to face with a buyer or a seller. So
where on here is there graphs that you can actually post?
Oh yeah. So there's all kind. Again, if you go back into
can you show us real quick?
Yeah, so you
like
can post this one right here. There you go. So you can print it as a PDF or export it as a JPEG.
And some of the stuff you're going to have to do a screen grab because it doesn't print real right.
Like this is a good one, which theoretically you should be able to just download, but it only works half the time. But yeah, you have to do a screen grab, stuff like that. Keep in mind, just so you guys know, you can't do that unless you have a subscription.
If you do, there's no problem. There's no.
No, they're totally cool with it. Yeah, you get that quick start guide, and it'll break down exactly what you can share and not share. But basically, the reason he does it is so that you can share it, put it out there to people, for sure. And another great use of it that like our team is using is at open houses. So break down that specific area, and with the charts for that open house, and it's great information to hand out to people that are coming through the door. It's also great information if you're knocking on doors around your open house, because you can say, look, this, if you're thinking about selling, now's the time to do it. It's fantastic. Yeah. Keep them coming. We got anybody else?
Okay, sure. It's by zip code. Have they figured out yet to do it by creating a
map? No, you can't do a map search yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it's another feature that she wants to add in. Yeah, she wants to do it. They want to do a map search as well. Not able to do it yet, but they're working on some different things coming up. I mean, it's kind of a small operation. You look at it and think, oh wow, but I think at the end of the day, it's only like 4 people over there just cranking out a whole bunch of volume. So they got some more stuff coming out for sure.
Can you
shoot?
You said that the data includes Open Door and the electronic stuff, but aren't more of these companies posting on their own websites and not an MLS? So if they post that way, it wouldn't track it, right? Because
it does track it. So if you go to
if it's totally not related to MLS.
Yeah, if you go back to where the data comes from.
But you have to know that something's for sale. Is Cromford actively looking on Open Door's website?
No, they're not.
No, it comes from
closers. They're going to know close sales.
They're always going to close sales.
Yes, they're not going to
they get a flag for any.
Tax records.
Well, here's where they pull the data.
Advertises on MLS anyway.
Yeah, so
I think that they do some without advertising on MLS is what I was saying. I think they're starting to do more and more on their own websites.
You won't know until it's closed.
Right, interesting. Right.
Yeah, so from an active standpoint.
And then does Cromford say anything about are the percentages increasing of total sales that Open Door? Because I just find it fascinating that their percentages are increasing. Like I went to one class and they said that one quarter, like 40% of the sales a quarter came from Open Door. It was crazy. That was like a year ago. So I was wondering if that's increasing or decreasing.
So that's a total fictional number. It's 3%. Yeah, 3% was the volume last year of iBuyers.
Yeah, I don't know why.
3% of our market.
They listed a huge number, 1 quarter. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's totally. I mean, as agents we get freaked out about it, right? Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow. I mean, number one, they don't make money. I don't know if you guys know this, but none of them make money yet. They have huge deep pockets, but they're not profitable as of yet. And then two, it's just not that big of the market. It's not that big of a share of the market.
Yeah.
It's definitely. Shoot.
Can you drill down by neighborhood?
You can drill down by neighborhood.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. You can't do it by map, but you can do it by neighborhood.
Yeah.
Second, do they also do this for vacant land, or is this only for residential?
I think he just tracks single-family residential condos and townhomes, not for land. Yeah, I don't think there's any land in there. Not my experience, and I haven't seen it in there for any of the tabs or anything. Yeah. But again, to kind of a recap, because I think we're about the end of what I can teach you guys on it. Great tool for face-to-face. You can really break out specific areas, neighborhoods, zip codes for your buyers and for your sellers. It's really good information to share if you've got a big database or social media following or that kind of thing. It's definitely something you can get out there and share with people. But for us, it really comes in handy when you're face-to-face. because you can really show numbers and say, look, there's 12,000 houses. You know, there's 12,000 total. There's 9,900 single-family residential homes available. So, you know, if you're looking to sell, if you're looking to buy, you're probably at one of the best times historically in the valley to do that. You know, so it's going to work out for you. And to, you know, the hot sweet spot is that FHA and below. So 338, 334, whatever it is. Those houses, they go quick. Hottest area in the valley, just to cover again, South Phoenix. So if you're listing in South Phoenix, it's going to go. It's going to go very fast. The iBuyer end has become, you know, obviously it's getting more and more and more tracked. But you know, it's a great question for you guys. You're in the field as well. You see it. So I'm starting to see a little bit more pushback on the iBuyers from the consumer than like a year or two ago. Does anybody else see that? A little bit? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, people are more aware of it, and they seem to kind of understand that it's really not what it seems to be a lot of times. So hopefully that'll correct itself. I mean, it definitely has a place, right? I mean, if you don't want anybody to ever come through your house and you want to deal with anything, then, you know, it's a good opportunity. But yeah, there seems to be more and more pushback coming on it for sure. Yeah. Sir?
I think you answered yes. You can drill down the neighborhood. I think ZIP's the smallest numbers that they look at.
Is it ZIP? Yeah. Okay, so I apologize. I thought it was by neighborhood, but just by ZIP.
And basically the explanation from Tina is smaller than that number, you can't get any statistically valid information. I mean, you can obviously get the number of sales, right, but you can't get any statistical valid trends.
Yes, it's not enough data. That makes sense. Yeah, so I apologize on that one. Just zip code. Yeah. Cool. Sir?
I'll ask a very specific question.
Okay.
So I have a friend who's kind of an odd duck in that he works at a bank and is one of those people who now has saved up like 60 grand, but he would be a first-time home buyer.
Right.
And so he's kind of looking at this. He's like, should I even buy a house, or are these all going to be overpriced because this market's moving? And that's the part I'm trying to decide that, you know, he's a friend, so I'm not like trying to push him to buy anything, but how to answer that specifically.
Well, I'm not an economist, so I can't necessarily fairly answer the question. But in talking to like Tina and Michael the last couple days for this class, and then looking at what's here, this is not fake, right? I mean, when you have a low inventory level, you've got solid interest rates, you still don't have like no doc loans and stuff, so it's still pretty legit buyers for the most part. You have we've got 800,000 more people today than we did when the bust happened, and we've got half of the inventory that they had at that time, and we're still selling 6,500 houses a month. So I can't see any reason outside of a war or something just crazy going on for it to change, right? It's just why would it?
I was basically planning on telling him like, well, I mean, you are a numbers guy, like you're at this interest rate, your money's sitting in a bank making what, versus if you bought, you would have a better chance of doing this. But
well, so here's a side note that I talked about with Tina yesterday, which is something that she told me not to share, but I'm about to share it. So don't tell her. One of the big indicators that they look at as far as a bubble approaching is cash out refi. So as people are making refis, if they're refining to get a lower rate, it's fine. It's totally normal. Everybody wants to get a lower rate, right? When you see a high number, and to go back to an example, 2006, it was 81% of refis were cash out refis. So that's people taking fake money that was invented from an increase in house sales and putting it in their pocket, right? Right now it's about 18%. So it's nowhere near kind of their scary level. Her thoughts on it, or their thoughts on it, is that as you get a market where people are just taking cash directly out of the equity of their home, and the equity's been invented over the last couple of years, that's when you get into a scary market situation. Because if there's a correction, all of a sudden their house is upside down, right? But at this point, they're really not seeing that. It's a pretty standard level on the cash out refi thing. So that's kind of what they're saying, is that it's not. That's one of their big indicators for it. All the rest, I mean, job growth, people moving to the valley, new home starts, which are I don't know if you guys realize this, but it's nowhere near 2004. I mean, we're not even close. It's not even in the same digits. Right. So those big indicators that happened in the past don't seem to be there. I mean, there's job growth, there's people moving here, there's a low inventory rate, good interest rates, solid buyers, really low defaults, really low short sale. I mean, it's gotten to where the REO properties are such a low point that they can't really run statistical analysis on them, because like you were saying, there's just not enough data, so you're just not seeing that indicators that it's going to ramp up.
So hopefully, tell your buddy to buy it. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
Well, typically Tina will tell you as well, if we were in a bubble situation, it takes about 6 months of consecutive down to start seeing that happen, and another 6 months for it to actually hit, and so you have a good year before anything.
Yeah, before it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You got that climb down, right? Yeah. And we're climbing up, so, I mean, there's no indication whatsoever it's climbing down at all.
Right.
And it hasn't, so. Well, guys, that's 40 minutes. I guess that's all I got in the tank for today. She's going to send out a survey thing, so I would love to. We're going to do this every month, right? But if you could give Kelly feedback on like what you really want to hear, what you want to see out of it, I would love to adapt it and modify it that way so that you get exactly what you're looking for. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. You betcha.
Sample dialogue or something like, for example, yeah, I know,
and every comp that you look at puts the house up. But the conversation was, so that's the two winners. So, you can break down the numbers. If it's not $11,000, it's changed the way you kind of house. You got them, so they record, I'm a real Russian. He's been a realtor for 30 years. He does a class on how to come up. And he's actually changed his 30-year method just recently to heavy focus availability and active hospitality. So he's getting away from just straight up, this is what's sold, to, okay, this is what's available, and this is what the available properties are at. Which is a little bit, he's always looked at what's out there that's available. Even more so now, he's like, maybe every comp is 260. I could produce nothing for sale. Somebody's going to buy it.
Well, that's how we all, Craigslist is like, okay, what else? There's no other item we got to pay.
That's what the market is. So that's it's a good question, man. But I mean, that's kind of how we've been approaching it. It's like, here's the deal. It's like, I used to fight that. I had to fight with him on that. I don't want to go there. Now it's like, let's put it out there. Especially when I know what he's in. If we get showings in the Wilders, we're overpriced. If we get no showings, we're way overpriced.
That's why I think that is on market correctly. And if we're approaching 23 days in this code, we know that we need to adjust that price. So I think that's a helpful part of that as well. Especially
Well, the weird thing's not quite there as a seller's market. It's close. It seems to be teetering on it. But I mean, it's not that many rifles on this situation. It's not the norm. It's just such a weird situation.
Well, that's the market that came from my without exaggeration,